A gap is definitely not a complete rejection. I was told in my interview that you don't seem creative, you're very analytical. Just a week before the CAT exam, my scores dropped down to 70 and 77 percentile again. I am Shayari. I am from Kolkata, but I grew up in a lot of places. I am a mechanical engineer. I passed out in 2021, and then I have about 10 months of work ex in technical sales. This was in 21-22, so bad job market. Especially for engineers, mechanical engineers, we had a really tough time with the COVID issues and then the Russia-Ukraine war. So as it is, the people going into a core field were quite few, and within that the job itself had become, well, there were a new set of challenges. So at that point of time I wanted to give other exams, so I took a break from my job. I got used to the idea of CAT pretty later on. So by the time I got to know and I realized how many different avenues I would have after this degree, so I decided to focus on MBA. So my overall percentile was 99.21. In VARC I had 99.72. In LRDI I had 89.4, and for quant I got 94.48. So I started my prep with, I gave a mock test. Like, there are plenty of free mock tests on various sites, and I gave that to just see where I was at, because I didn't think 2.5 months was enough time to go into the regular routine of a coaching, then you get your syllabus. So I gave through that, and I identified, I think LRDI was my weak section in the beginning, and surprisingly, though I'm a reader, I was quite bad at VARC. So I focused on those. I realized the problem lay in the fact that I wasn't comfortable with a lot of passages that CAT gives. They give a little from different backgrounds, financial, environmental, and you aren't used to those. So I started reading those for VRC. I mostly focused on the passages because there are like 4 passages, and if you score well there, there's a pretty good chance that you will be able to get a good percentile. And for LRDI, I don't think there's any trick. You just take a book, any book from, I followed Arun Sharma, you go from cover to cover. And I used any sort of mock test series to keep track of how I was advancing and if there was any improvement. I don't think it was exceptionally nice, but I wasn't as weak as the other 2 sections. Considering that as an engineer, you already have a certain background. Plus, I was preparing for competitive exams previously as well. So I had quant preparations somewhat done, but it was different from the exams that I was used to. I focused on the parts that I was already comfortable in quant, considering that I had a basic percentile that I needed in the previous ones. And I did pick up geometry in the last 2 weeks before the CAT. The first mock I did to gauge my score, that came to 95, and I was pretty happy. Overall also they were pretty similar. One I got 94, the other one was maybe 92. That I think LRDI I did 92 or 80. VRC was also around 90. So, but the next time when I got a mock test series and started giving, it just dropped down to 70 and 77 percentile. It took some time figuring out, and this was I did have a gradual increase, but then just a week before the CAT exam, my scores dropped down to 70 and 77 percentile again. Mostly the problem I realized was that I was carrying over the whatever bad section I did before. I carried over kind of like the poor performance, it was in my head. So in my mind I was already like, I've already messed up one section. What is going to happen with the rest? That is something, you just think of it as 3 20-minute exams. 3 separate exams, they're not connected. You kind of have to drill it down in your brain. And I did that, and that is, I think, one of the main reasons that even though I did falter in one of my sectionals in CAT, LRDI section, I did not falter in the next one, quant, which was particularly difficult, I think, in our year. I had a notebook of all the questions that I did wrong because I did not have the time or the patience to maybe go through the entire thing again, revise time and again. And I would revise that maybe if not every day, every alternate day. I did not let a single question that I did wrong go away, especially in quant. For LRDI, I kept trying to go for more questions because there is a chance that, and it happened in my exam also, that you start one LRDI question and it does not work out. Midway, you're like, this won't happen. So you've got to shift. So make sure you try to attempt more questions. VARC, I specifically tried to focus on articles which I was not familiar with, and if I was still doing better in those. Started with one side of my exam, like the person on the right to me had not come, and I had an empty seat on the left as well, and I was so happy. But then another person came in and sat on the left, 5 minutes late, fidgeting. So VARC, he ate up like 5 minutes of my time, and so give mocks in a busy area. And apart from that, LRDI, the first question was of mean median mode. I was in slot 1, so mean median mode, and I knew the basics, but I was not comfortable in that question. So immediately I tried that for like 5-10 minutes, and then I had to shift to other questions, and which is why my LRDI percentile dropped. After that, even when I started the quant, I knew it was a difficult paper because like the previous ones I had given, it wasn't that tough. And there were some questions which came directly from my engineering competitive exams prep. You kind of remind yourself, if it's tough for you, it's tough for everybody else, which is what I had done maybe the previous week as well. So DILR and quant both were maybe shockers. A gap year is definitely not a complete rejection. I took a gap year because I was trying to give IES exams. So that was my gap year, and well, that did not happen. And related to that, I was asked why I took a gap year in quite a few of my interviews. You've just got to be honest that these were my aspirations, this is where I wanted to be, and I have found a different avenue to maybe go through the same thing. I had calls from IIM Kozhikode, Indore, CAP calls, Rohtak, IIT Delhi, IIT Bombay, and FMS. I also had XLRI calls. I got into a course for GDPI. Even interim budget was being released. There was a lot of current affairs prep. Apart from that, I did join Inside IIM for my FMS prep specifically because I was quite nervous about that one. I was told in my interview that you don't seem creative, you're very analytical. You kind of take that and whatever creativity you have, because everybody has hobbies, you kind of show that and then they'll be happy with it. Everybody wants a balanced individual who could go to maybe different fields. I would not suggest taking a gap year. You've got to answer a lot of questions, and a lot of people, even me included, it makes you nervous that you've not done something, you've not succeeded in something previously. And why have that? Instead, maybe do an internship, maybe shift your job, change your job, have some work ex. It's better, even later on it'll help you.